The mic. All right then.
Maybe after half an hour you need 2 mics.
No, I'm good. I do this for a living. I'm okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead then with the mic. Rika, thank you for having me, and for I'm sure this has been a very busy few months for you for preparing the Innovation Week. My name is Ayman. My area of specialty is digital and social media. I do some work with clients on how best to use different web, mobile, and social media techniques to better improve their businesses. So I do that as part of an agency that I manage. I prepared many things today related to Instagram and how to use it for business, but I'd like to gauge a bit more the audience about why you're here. I spoke with some of you want to run ads, some of you haven't been on Instagram at all, others are active on it. So I'd like to know a bit more from you. What type of things would you want us to discuss for Instagram before I go through all of my material? So why are you guys here today? Yes. How to advertise?
So
Dunya, yeah.
Been using Instagram as a free platform over the past few years, and now things are changing. So
Okay.
we want to know what does that mean for business?
Okay, so you want to use it as a business or as an agency doing this for clients?
As an individual.
As an okay. So how to use Instagram ads? All right. That's one action item. What else?
To establish if it is a platform suitable for our company.
Okay. What does your company do? What industry are you in?
Outsource payrolls. We do payrolls for other companies.
Outsourcing what?
Payrolls.
Payrolls. Okay. Oh, so it's business to business. Okay. All right. Are you sure you want to use Instagram?
That's what we want to find.
Okay. All right. LinkedIn might be, and as covered the session, LinkedIn might be a bit more of interest. Okay. What else?
How to reach out to a specific audience and how to really define.
How to reach out to a specific audience and hashtags and so on. All right.
Instagram for sales.
Ins-
How you measure it?
How would you measure Instagram for sales? All right.
If
What?
there is any way.
Sure. What industry are we talking about?
I work in like 10 different industries. It's an investment company.
Okay. Business to business or business to consumer?
Both. We have
Both.
B2B and B2C.
All right. Okay. If you want, during the sessions, just feel free to raise a hand, ask a question. So during the session or after that, whatever works for you. How much time do we have together? 40 minutes?
We have 1 hour.
An hour together. Okay. All right. Just to cover a few things, just to have some perspective on size and volume of Instagram versus others. So a study done by the Social Media Influencer Summit this year is we're looking at the channels in the Arab world. You get to see that Facebook and WhatsApp are one of the largest in terms of volume and size and usage throughout the Arab world as a whole. And then you have a penetration of Instagram. We're looking at 34% usage of Instagram. That's on average throughout the Arab world, and that continues to grow. If you want to zoom in specifically to the UAE, we're looking at 56% usage based on the study that was done. So you have a good active population of users that are on Instagram. And if you look at Saudi Arabia, also another big market in the region. Okay, we lost the mic. So another big market in the region, also Saudi, we're looking at a 43% penetration for Instagram usage. So there's a lot of growing use of Instagram throughout the Arab world. And also when you look at, I'm just going to list here a few businesses that are based in the UAE. They started off as Instagram accounts. So they started off as posting images and pictures of Instagram accounts, and gradually they grew to become full-fledged businesses. They started selling online, but some of them now have their own stores. They have their own locations. A lot of them still sell online, but they started with an Instagram account. They started with an Instagram account, posting about the products that they do, things that they use, and from that they built a community around them. And from that they've been able to start to sell whatever it is that they're selling, whether it's food-related items, accessories, and so on. So these are UAE-based businesses that have started with virtual accounts, and now they have one store, physical stores, 1, 2, 3. They still sell a lot of their services throughout the internet. All right, and all of this has been shared with the organizers, who will share it with you at some point. When will this be shared with the rest, with everybody else?
After this one.
After this.
We
Oh.
just send it.
Where can they find it?
In this link, stick on the link /. We'll just share the link.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a link to be shared somehow somewhere. All right. Now, one of the differences, I think, seem to be burning mics today.
You have a problem.
Yeah. All right. So one of the major differences with Instagram versus others, something called organic reach. Organic reach meaning, all right, round 3. So organic reach meaning when you post something on Instagram, people get to see it. So if we want to look at Facebook, for example, so let's say we have a community size of 100,000 people, so 100,000 likes on a Facebook page, and you post something on your Facebook page as a business. What percentage of people do you feel would see that? We're looking at 80. If you post something saying we're at UAE Innovation Week, at N5, and so on. If you post something like that, what percentage? 5%, 80%, 6%, 1%? What are we talking about? 2%? All right. So with Facebook posting, we're looking at Facebook specifically, organic reach is very, very low. It's close. It's between 2 and 4%. So what that means is we're all here in the same room. We're all here. I'm here and I'm speaking, just nicely, trying to sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't have a mic, and only a few people around me here can hear me. So the rest of you, although we're in the same room, you can't hear what I say unless I put in a credit card, which is basically a mic that says you guys in the back can go ahead and hear me. So why does Facebook do this? Making money is one, but there's also another issue. Us as users, on average, we have 300 friends and above in terms of number of friends around us, and we like around 50 pages. So Facebook would need to show us every day, if they want to show us everything, they need to show us around 1,500 posts, which is, when it's not humanly possible to sit down all day on Facebook, going through 1,500 posts from, ex-bosses, ex-girlfriends, ex-family members that we don't want to talk to, and so on. So what Facebook does is it identifies content that it feels is of interest to us. So, for example, let's say you stalk a person. I know nobody here stalks other people on Facebook, but let's say you do. All right? You'll get to see that more and more of that person's content and their posting will show up in your newsfeed, because you check their profile a couple of times a day. Facebook, knows that you're interested somehow, so they start to bring their content to you. If you notice, if you chat with other people on their Facebook Messenger, you get to see more of their stuff. If you like and comment and share on other people's stuff, more of their stuff appears. So Facebook does some form of analysis and algorithm to decide on what is of interest to you. So this is why you get to see family members that you haven't spoken to on Facebook in years. They will rarely show up in your newsfeed. So that's why the feed that we get on Facebook is not organic. It's filtered in a way due to the volume of activity on it and the way Facebook works. With Instagram, it's a bit different. So when you're following people on Instagram, you get to see most of what they post. So even if today, let's say over the last few hours you've been in morning sessions here, when you next open up your Instagram feed, whatever you've missed in the last few hours, you'll get to see a good deal of most of it based on who you follow. So the organic reach is big. What that means for you as a brand or as a business, which is part of our, a good part of our topic today, is that when you post things, people tend to see it more, at least for now, on Instagram more than they would see it on Facebook from a organic reach perspective. All right. So this is one aspect, and of course there's the advertising, which we will cover a bit more. Do you have any questions about organic versus non-organic? All right. All right, and also, it's a minor aesthetic change, but it was a big deal from an Instagram community perspective, is using square and landscape images. How annoying has it been for some of you? You're trying to get everybody in the picture, and then you have to crop people from sides of pictures that you wanted to use. So a good portion of so there has been many workarounds, but then recently Instagram has allowed landscape images. So what you do simply is the same picture that you usually post, you just zoom out. And this way, instead of having a bigger square, you'd have like it's a shorter image, but you get most of the image being there. So what that means for you is you have more room in order to be able to share your images the way you might want to, landscape versus square. All right, and also another aspect is Instagram doesn't have links in their comments, so if you have a link in the status update, you can't click it. If you've tried to click it, you can't click it. Why would Instagram do that? Spam is one. Spam is element. What is it?
They don't want you leaving.
They don't want you leaving, of course. That's element. But most of it is spam. What they're trying to do is they're trying to keep it, very native to images, to pictures. That's why you can only still use it over a mobile phone. There's no web interface for you to upload any picture from, Google image search to upload it to. You still have to take the picture from your phone or at least sync it to your phone to upload it. So there's the additional level of that. As part of trying to keep the quality. So there's no link. You can't say visit our website for this. So the workaround that others have done is they're using the only link that works throughout all of Instagram is your bio. Is in your bio you have your URL. So that's the only clickable link. So what a lot of people are doing is they're using that. They change that link every couple of days based on what they want to share. So if they might say that we posted a new video about so and so and so, click on our bio link in order to go and see that video or to go see our website or that offer and so on. So the bio link is not something that you'd post and forget about for years and years like you might do on Facebook or on Twitter. On Instagram, it's something that you would use a bit dynamically. That's a workaround for now in order to get to invite users to click on links. That's the only way today for you to click on links. So that's a workaround that others have used. And also for Snapchat as well, a lot of people use. Who here is active on Snapchat or uses Snapchat? All right. As a person, no. Businesses, it's still they're getting there. There are a lot of businesses in the UAE using Snapchat, but still on a personal level. Okay. That's another topic for probably another session that we can organize with TCOM. But it's a growing social network. It's video based, and it disappears in 24 hours. So I'm very active on Snapchat, but if you join today and you follow me, you'll only see the last 24 hours of what I've posted. Everything else disappears in a sense. All right. So as a brand, they've been struggling with we're investing this money and this activity in it, and it's gone. Yeah, so 24 hours is generally the most you're looking at in terms of that. So there are many reasons behind it, but a lot of it has to do with attention. When you know this is going to disappear and you only are able to see it during that period, you pay closer attention. You look at the video more. You take more attention to look at images and so on. So that's a different topic. But Instagram has been used in order to share Snapchat images. So because with Snapchat you can add people by their image. So if those of you here are active on Snapchat, they can go ahead and add me here with this code. So you get to see a lot of usage of Instagram to post things on to get people to follow you on Snapchat. So to talk more about advertising and examples of advertising. So so these are examples from locally here in the UAE. So looking at an ad on Instagram is like a regular post. So you get to see there's the account. All right, there's the post, which is the image. There's the content that you have below it, and the image, of course. So it's a post like any other post, but there's a slight variation, which is this, which says it's a sponsored post. All right, but it's a regular image, regular post like you would usually post. So in terms of when you want to do it as a business, you think of it as a regular post that you usually do. So we're looking at an image and text. And as we discussed earlier, there's no link. So you can write a link here. You can write the link. That's no problem writing the link, but it's not clickable. So if they click on anything here, it won't take them anywhere unless you have it somewhere else in the bio, as we were discussing. So you need to use this from an ad perspective. For this to be as a standalone, there's no reliance on it going somewhere else. Yes?
Yeah, but can somebody copy the URL and then paste to the browser and go
Can somebody copy the URL? They might be able to do so, but we're asking a lot of the users. You know, as businesses, we'd like to think that people really like us. They care about the images we post. They're going to go through a lot of effort in order to do things. But you know, if we want to be honest with ourselves, we really have to do a lot for them to go through. They need to win. There has to be some major incentive for them to actually go through that process. What I see others have done is, if it's a short URL and it's easy and they're interested, they can open up a browser and just put in the URL quickly. But if it's visit our website, which is this huge domain / blah blah / blah blah, it's like, okay, I'm done, I'm lost. So, but yes.
Is the advertisement option already available?
Is the advertisement option available? It's been available to businesses as of September 30, which gives you 2 months.
It's already available.
It's already available. We've been doing this for many of our clients, and what we've observed now is the cost of clicks and visits and so on. It's generally lower than other social networks at this point because the volume of ads is not high. Because the way this works is it's bidding. So let's say you want to pay 2 dirhams for a click. I say 3 dirhams. Brahim says 4 dirhams. They give it to Brahim because he wants to pay more than you and I would do. So it's a bidding process. So since there are no many people here that are advertising, there are volumes, but not as much as on Facebook today, because they've been doing that for years versus 2 months now. So the costs generally are lower, at least for now.
So for a business account, would that be different from a personal account? I mean, because for a personal account, I can't find anywhere to say you can.
Okay, that's interesting. So you want to use advertising for a personal account?
I just want to know, because currently I don't see any option to say that.
Sure, of course. In Instagram today, there's no technical difference between a personal account and a business account. So on Facebook, it's different. On Facebook, you have a page and we have a personal account, and we can't friend people or message them unless we're personal friends and so on, and the page is different. So that distinction today is not available in Instagram. So running ads, you could do that as a business or as a regular person and so on. So yeah.
Where are you going to find that, though? I mean, how to do that?
All right. So the question is, how would we do that? Now, you know that Facebook bought Instagram a few years back. They bought them for around $700 million. All right. Do you know how many employees they had? Just if you want to venture. How many employees did Instagram have? 10? 2000? 6? Wow. 400? 100? It was 10. So, but they had a huge community, and they bought for $700 million. And people said at the time that Facebook were crazy for investing that amount of money, and they bought WhatsApp after that. Do you remember how?
Yes.
In billions. They were looking at 19 billions and so on. So 700 million was, that's nothing. That's just, nothing. And now with the opening up of the advertisement, also that would really open up a lot of options for advertising. Now, since Facebook owns Instagram, what they did, which I think is intelligent and simple as well, is they already have a large community of people who are businesses who are using Facebook advertisements. And they've already developed a very strong advertising engine as Facebook. So what they've done is the Instagram advertising, they've attached it to Facebook's existing ad engine. So if you're familiar with Facebook's advertising engines, the Facebook Ads Manager or Facebook Power Editor, you are in a position to easily run Instagram ads if you're already familiar with Facebook advertisements. So that's a big step for Instagram. This way they've been able to have a very strong engine from day one, and they'll be able to already have access to a large amount of businesses and their agencies who have been running ads and they're familiar with the interface and so on. So we'll talk a bit more about the targeting, but as a concept, you need to be on Facebook's advertisement. So facebook.com/ads, that should be enough for you to go ahead and join Facebook's advertising.
So that means you manage Instagram ads on Facebook?
You manage Instagram ads using Facebook's advertising engine, yes.
Okay.
So there's no Instagram interface for ads. It's on Facebook, and you choose that. You choose the text. You choose what it looks like, and then then it's being pushed out to the Instagram network.
So that means you have to link the Instagram account to a Facebook.
That means you have to link the Instagram account to a Facebook advertising engine, but you do that once. You do that once. Once you do that, and the rest is simpler in terms of you choose an image, your account is already linked, and you already have, you just put in the text that you need, the limit of characters, whatever it might be, and you post that.
How many accounts you can make or you can
Okay, so you started off that saying that you have a personal account, but now you have like 20 accounts that you want to do, and you can do as many accounts as you need. That's fine.
Thank you.
It's all built for you for you to take advantage of this, for them to make money, and just everybody's happy in a sense.
So what's the reach of these efforts?
What's the reach of
Is it just hashtags again, or does it go into...
for advertisements? All right. So hashtags have to do with the organic reach we spoke about in the beginning. So this has nothing to do with the advertisements and the payments. So the payments will allow you to reach a big audience based on how much you pay and what you target. So for example, there are targeting options in Facebook engine and hence Instagram's engine. These social networks, they know a lot about us, all right? They know how old we are. They know what we're interested in. They know what languages we speak. They know who our friends are. They know who we interact with. They know what pages we interact with, what brands we're interested in. They know that when you're bored here in my session and you open up Facebook, they know that you're physically in Media City here at this time. You check Facebook from work a lot and from home as well. So they know physically where you spend 90% of your times. They know physically where you are. So there's a lot of information that can be used to target. So for example, we've done many campaigns that says, for example, so let's say we want to promote a coffee shop here at N5. You can run ads on Instagram and Facebook that say, this is physically where the N5 coffee shop is located. Let's look at 3 kilometers around it and advertise to people who are physically within 3 kilometers of this coffee shop. So this has been made available only a few months ago. So this way there are universities in Knowledge Village, there are businesses in Media City and Internet City and the other parts of TCOM, that when people are there at work and they open up Facebook or Instagram, they get to see a promotion for this N5 coffee shop versus somebody in Sharjah or Al Ain who physically they're very far away from the coffee shop and less likely to join, to come to the coffee shop. So that's, because Facebook knows where we are, they can do that targeting. You can also target based on interests. You can target based on existing audiences. You can target based on, so there's a long list of, you can target, we have a big community of 200 plus expat citizens, different nationalities within the UAE. You can target, you want to say, I want to target this specific part of expats and so on. So it's very advanced. They know a lot about us, and everything they have is things that we've given them. I know a lot of you, we've given them everything. So it's not them going into our houses and our minds and just taking out stuff. It's just us feeding the engine. So that information is there, available for you as a business. So you need to have two hats here. I know personally you might freak out privacy and so on, but you're here as an Instagram business session, more or less. So you're looking at how you can take advantage of this as a business in order to better target the audience that you need who care about this sort of stuff. Okay. What other questions do we have about the advertisements? Yes.
Sorry, wasn't regards to advertising.
It's fine. Go ahead and ask.
Just in regards to posting, so there seems to be so much sort of like differing information about timings of posting and things
Okay.
like that. So I noticed that makes a significant difference.
All right.
So for this region, I mean, I don't know.
All right. This is a common question I get about the timing of postings. It's important, but usually the people who obsess about the timings are the same people who cannot update their pages every day, who have poor content generally, and they look at something as advanced as timing. So timing is a way to optimize your content. So the theory behind it is that people are more available to check social media content during certain times of the day more than others. So for example, we do some work for McDonald's in terms of promotion and activity on their social media accounts. We do activity around lunchtime. So it doesn't make sense for us to do it after lunch or and so on. So for example, we do activity around that. So that specific business that we help promote, that timing is important for their type of business. So that's something to keep in mind. And there's another category when you have people who are active during the day. So a lot of us are active on social media during work. I know you might not want to say that or if you're into that, but we see activity on advertisements. So we see how it drops close to 5 and 6 o'clock saying, I'm done over the next couple of hours. I'm leaving work. I have time tomorrow to check my social media again. And, so we see a drop towards, end of working hours. We see an increase towards the evening. And then there's a nice bump, the first few hours of the day, 8, 9, 10 a.m., depending on what time you come to work. So we see an increase in that. So the timings for those, so the good timings are mornings, afternoons, but just after lunch and so on. So those are generally busy, good times. 5, 6, 7, people are leaving their work. But then you have another jump towards the evening. So those are generally, very generally, times of interest. But it doesn't make sense to obsess about these times if we see this a lot with brands or personal accounts. If you're unable to keep your page active every day. So if you're on social media, generally the rule would be to be active every day, at least once a day. That would be a good number. So we see businesses that open up an account, they're active the first 3 weeks, and then the last update was in 2013 or 2014 and so on. And then if they want to active again, they go into optimizing time. The first thing that I'd obsess about is having regular updates and then working on the times. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
If you're selling a product
Yes.
through Instagram, usually the KPI is to, let's say I want to make it work to an e-commerce site.
Okay.
So is the advertisement is applicable to push people or measure, let's say, I don't want to say conversion, it's actually shifting leads to the e-commerce site and then you can measure from there the conversion rates.
Okay. This is a very good question about the KPIs and what we're doing. And this has to do with advertising and generally why we're on social media. When I have sessions with clients and they tell me, I want to do a Facebook page, I want to do this on Instagram, maybe Snapchat and so on, and I ask them why. They say, what do you mean why? Everybody's doing, it's social media. Aren't you in this business? I was like, yes. But my question is, what, why are you doing that? And I don't always get strong answers. I get it's the future, or everybody's doing it, or we want to engage our customers. It's like, okay, do you want to define engagement? And they look at me saying, don't you want to sell us your services? But when I ask the basic questions of why the business needs to be there, I get these vague answers. All right, and I'm very clear. I ask them, so where's your money from? And they look at me saying, what does that have to do with anything that has to do with social media? You guys are that island there. You open up the pages, you fill them up, you do whatever you need to do, and then leave us alone here in our business. We do what we do, and then we reach out to you to promote whatever it is we want you to promote. So a lot of businesses are in that mindset. So in that mindset, KPIs and business numbers and so on, they don't make any sense at all for them to discuss that. But when you deal with businesses who are genuinely interested in this, so we've done a lot of this with clients. So for example, we're working with an on-demand taxi service. So you open up an on-demand taxi service in Saudi and you order a taxi. All of the work we do for them is customer acquisition. So we do social media activity, advertisements, content, and all of the KPIs for them are about getting new users to download their app, getting them to sign up, getting them to use their service. So there are a long list of KPIs that we look at every day. And we look at, okay, if we change this type of image, how do the numbers change? Do we have an increase in the number of users or a decrease? If we do this type of advertisements on Instagram, is this better or worse? If we change the budget on Google for this, what happens? What do we do with this on Facebook? And so the KPIs from the beginning need to be defined for every business. So simple examples, we're doing another work for a medical client. When they do a simple campaign of 2,000 dirhams, they sell 8,000 dirhams to 12,000 dirhams worth of services. So when they do an ad campaign of 2,000 dirhams, they get 4 times, 5 times, 6 times the returns depending on what they're selling and what they're targeting and so on. So these are KPIs to look into from the beginning, saying what is it as a business we want? Do we want more users? And we have to define more users. That means signing e-commerce. So, there's a long list of KPIs for e-commerce. Number of people who are signing up to the service, so they don't have to buy yet, just to sign up. Others, how many are putting products in the cart, even if they're not buying. So that's because they use that as a wish list. So that's another KPI. A third would be how many times they visit the site, how many are new people who are visiting the site again. Fourth would be how much time are they spending on the site? Are they spending a minute and a half, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, half a minute? So because you get to see if they're returning or not. How many of those are buying, and then if they're buying, what's the average ticket size, and so on. So there's a long list of KPIs for e-commerce specifically. So once you decide on what your KPIs are, then you start to look at advertising, saying, okay, to increase this KPI, which is the number of signups, you're going to do ads specifically to drive signups. So there are specific ads that would take you to sign up. So you can use specific codes to track how many people are signing up. So you get to see that I put in 300 dirhams, I got 60 users. That means if I put in 5,000 dirhams, I might get this amount of users and so on. So you start to do that. If another KPI has to do with how much time they spend on the site, you could look at different ads that take them to different parts of your website, for example. If it's e-commerce, you have it's advanced. You can do a cart. You can do ads specifically for people who have items in their cart but they didn't buy yet. So you get to see sometimes, for example, when you visit a website, if it's e-commerce or others, and then when you go around, you get to see that ad wherever you know on different places wherever you go on Facebook or on websites or Instagram and so on. There is advanced targeting where if you go to a page or a product and you see a product, wherever you go on the internet, that product follows you. So they know they'll be able to track that you've bought that product. And you know, one example that happened with me once, there was a printer that I wanted to buy. We have one and we're just buying another one. I went to that page, I bought that printer. It shipped to me, I have it. Over the next few weeks, I always get the ad, not only for the product, for the website itself, but for the product itself. And then I look, you know, the printer's here, just please, I already bought it, it's just right next to me, go away. But you know, it's that level of targeting and advertisements that you can get to reach using Instagram, Facebook, Google advertisements, and Twitter, and so on. Yes?
I work for on-demand music streaming service.
Okay.
And one of the challenges that we have is we have a lot of content to share all the time.
Okay.
So we literally have releases, Arabic, national music, you know, artist engagement programs. So we're really, really heavy with things that we want to share.
Okay.
What are the best practices on number of posts per day or whatever, specifically for businesses of our nature that have a lot to share? So we're contemplating 6 posts a day or 50, but sponsor 5 or 10 or whatever. So what are the best practices for folks that share?
All right. So the question is how many times to post a day? Now, generally, but that doesn't apply to you. Generally, for a good portion of businesses, having 1 update a day is generally a good number. Before, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, we used to do 2. The recommendation was 2 or 3 updates a day. But now it's become much more expensive. So let's say on Facebook, as we said in the beginning, the level of organic reach is low, depending on your content and your audience size and so on. So you can post 6-7 times a day, but if people don't see it, what's the point of really working on things that people might not see if you don't have an advertising budget, let's say, and so on. So generally for general businesses, we're looking at being active daily. So that's 1 post a day. So we're looking at 20 posts a week. 20 posts a month. So that's a very general aspect. Now, if you're in a service which is very active, so such as this service or a news website, for example, I have clients who say, "But look at this news website. They post 8 times a day. Why are you telling us 1 post a day?" And that's the same client who takes them 3 weeks to give us a picture. So, but they complain they want to do like 6 posts a day and so on. So when you are in an industry that's very content driven, that means you have a lot of content, different parts and so on, you can and should post more than once a day. So once a day doesn't apply in that particular incident. And I would look at different mediums differently. So for example, on Twitter, you can post much more than what you can post on Facebook from a medium perspective. So on Twitter, it's okay to go to 6, 8, and 10 times during the day, but we're looking at spacing them out. Because on Twitter, how many of you here are on Twitter today? How many of you are active on Twitter? Okay. We'll need to define activity on Twitter and so on. But usually I get yes, and then it's like, when was the last time you posted? I get to see hands receding. So the Twitter, the way it works, it's an information stream. So let's say I posted now something just before walking up here saying, I'm speaking at UAE Innovation Week and so on so. And people who were there, they would see it. A couple of 100 people would see it, let's say, and so on. And then in 2 hours later, it's a different amount. If I post something else in 2 hours, it's a different batch of people who will see it. Or 3, the afternoon, the evening. So it's a way of the people step in and they step out of Twitter. This is how it's currently used. So in this case, if you're media-centric on Twitter, مرتاحة. You could do 6, 8, 10 times a day, and keeping in mind that your consumption is media-based, audio and music, you can take advantage of late hours. So don't do the 9 to 5. You can do 6, 8 p.m., 12 p.m., a.m. So you can schedule those as well. So you can take advantage of the 24 hours and the different time zones that you service in the region. So that would help. Okay. What other questions do we have? It doesn't have to be necessarily Instagram. It could be a bit more about your general business, general other. Time. How are we doing in terms of time? How much time do we still have?
How do you get the verified account in Instagram and is it really adding value?
All right. So the question is about نرجع لك إبراهيم. So the question is about verified accounts, and that applies for Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook as well. So the concept behind verified accounts, the real concept behind what we want. So the real concept is what we want is, it's a good ego thing for us. It's an official page. Not a lot of people have it. It's a unique thing to have in terms of verified account having. It's a blue tick next to your name that says this is the official account of Ayman Aitani. So the concept behind it, the original concept behind it of the social networks is if there are many impersonators. So if you search for Ayman Aitani and there are 12 Ayman Aitani, so there are many wannabes who want to be me. All right? And then, but the official account is the one that has the tick box. So I'm not a singer or a performer or whatever. So there are no fan pages for me, but let's assume there were. So the one when you search for Ayman Aitani, you get to see the one that has the blue one, the blue tick, that means that's the official account of Ayman. So that's the original concept behind verification, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, the way to get it is to work directly with them. So we do work with their offices in Dublin and Dubai as well and so on. So there's a case we open with them. We show them proper identification. We open a case with them saying, this is the official Ayman Aitani account. These are his official papers, his official corporate license and blah, 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 and so on. These are the impersonating accounts, and this is the problem we have. So you build a case, they study it, and based on that, they would verify the account. So this applies for Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. So it's generally the same process where you build the case directly with them. So there's no way to talk to an agency. It has to be done directly with them. So there's no company that does it for you. You or the agency that does work for you would have to reach out directly to them to do that. Okay. I know you're hoping for a better answer, but for an easier fix. But yes, Rahim.
If we're just starting in social media and we just wanted to promote a product or promote myself, for example, would you recommend Instagram to spend the time?
What would you be promoting?
Like I just want to promote myself as something like anything. Like I just want to.
It's okay, Brahim. Share with people the videos that you're working on and so on. Tell them a bit more about that.
Like I curate videos on YouTube.
Okay, what's it called? Then look into it. What's it called so that they can check it?
It's called Arab 15S.
Okay.
Like I got the videos from Instagram and I curate them on YouTube. But I have all the accounts on all the other social networks, on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, Telegram, all the new things that I have. But if I want to have like a step further, like do you recommend Instagram for it or?
For Arab 15S or for Ibrahim Ramzat who manages Arab 15S?
Both.
For Arab 15S, I think the Instagram part would really help. So if you look at what U-Turn do, for example, U-Turn have their own channels, very active on YouTube, very good content, and full-length YouTube. But they have a lot of 15 seconds that they do on their Instagram account. So I would look into that account a bit more just to have an idea about how they're linking the full-fledged content that they have on YouTube to the 15-second teasers on Instagram. So they have many categories. Some of it are teasers that lead to the longer one, and some of them are standalone 15 seconds that are really enough for it's standalone. It's standalone for what it is. So Instagram would be of interest for Arab 15S for the because what you're curating is Arabic content in terms of video and humor and so on. And there's a lot of video consumption on Instagram. So that would be generally of interest for you to be more active on Instagram, to have these tidbits of content there to remind people to go to the longer version. Does that answer your question?
Of course.
Yes, sure. Yes.
We use Buffer, one of those tools, to post in LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook,
Yes.
Google simultaneously. What do you think is a better strategy? To post the same thing in all places at the same time, to try to mix them, to obviously and the answer cannot be, we cannot have a specific strategy for each of them because we don't have time for that. So simple solution, what could be a nice way of doing it?
Sure.
2 hours a day?
What do you, when you say we, what industry are you in? What do you do?
We're in financial services and we post content that we find interesting. It's not our own content. So whenever we find articles that relate about the services we provide or investing and saving and stuff, we post that sort of content.
But your target audience are other investors, or what's your target audience?
Will be potential clients.
Which, people who would contribute to the fund.
Yeah, who would like to invest and save with us.
Okay. So that's a very specific niche audience. What channels are you on? What social media channels are you active on?
Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Google.
How's Facebook working for you? So in his scenario, he's reaching out to a very specific type of audience, which are people who are affluent, who have money, and they usually invest with them, either for financial advice or they invest with you on other projects and so on. So it's a very specific niche of audience. How is Facebook working for you for this?
Frankly, most of the people who are there are people who know us, who are friends. So I don't think we're getting much business value out of it. Yes.
Because this is why I'm bringing that topic up, because what you're hoping for is to spend less time on social media activity and to have more, to have a bigger effect. So you're asking for tools and techniques to use to do small things that will have effect across the different channels. So one of the first things I would look at is I would look at the channels and the reach of these. So when you post something on Facebook, how many people from your audience are seeing it? And how many people are actually interacting? And then since you're dealing with a small audience that you might, we're looking at hundreds of people in a sense, those that are really active with you, you can get to see how many of those are coming out from your Facebook channel or your Twitter channel. So you can decide, because you might want to kill off your Facebook account. If it's, if it's a small community size already, you don't get a lot of engagement. You might, in your specific audience, you might want to kill off your Facebook account. Whatever you're saving time there, you spend it more on LinkedIn. In your particular case, potentially an email newsletter. That might be also something that you might want to look into a bit more for your specific niche type of audience for that. So this way, you're reducing the channels that you're active on. Twitter maybe. So this way, you would reduce the amount of time spent on those, and you invest them in channels that are much more likely to give you a better return. And since you've been active on these channels for a while, it's a process where you go through your old insights and statistics. LinkedIn have that, Twitter have that, Facebook have that. You can see how many people are actually seeing your posts and how many people are interacting. And you can make an enlightened decision saying, I don't want this channel, I'm going to invest more in this channel. So this would be a way to do it. And then a second part that applies a bit more to the rest of you is it's a common practice of posting the same thing on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. By the book, the social media book, I also teach at the university by the book. It's not a good practice to do, and you shouldn't do it, and so on. But to be practical, I know a lot of us are active on social media just to be active there. We just want to, do this as fast as we can and just, go back to something else that we want to do. In that case, if you really need to post the same thing on different channels, a slight variation, a slight variation that will make a big difference and keep the work that you're doing. So let's say you're posting something on Instagram and on Twitter. I would upload it directly. So when you upload the image directly on Twitter, upload it directly to Twitter versus using Instagram Twitter posts. So when you post something on Twitter, it would, do we have access to the internet on this computer? Do we have access to the internet here on this computer? Sure. Just a quick, all right, so this is something I posted just before going on stage, all right? So this is me, I'm speaking at N5 Hub, Instagram for Business, so on and so forth. I posted that on Instagram. I wanted to post the same thing on Twitter, but I posted the same thing. There were two ways for me to do it. There was the easy way, and there was just a bit more complex way. So the easy way was when you post to Instagram, there's a button, Twitter button. What it does is it posts the same thing onto Twitter. So I'd have the same text, and then I'd have a link which is the image. It's an Instagram link to the image. So that would have been the quick fix. I did an additional step, and that's the tip that I would suggest that you do, is what I did was I copied and pasted the text from Instagram onto Twitter. So what happens here is, see this image here? This image that I'm posting, this image that I posted, because I uploaded it directly to Twitter, it shows up here with the full image. If I wanted to use the shortcut of using the Instagram app to post to Twitter, this wouldn't be here, and then this, and then there would be a link here. So for now, when you're going through my Twitter feed, for example, all right, yes. All right, so for example, I was a guest on NBC. When you're going through my Twitter feed, for example, you get to see this showing up. If I wanted to take the shortcut, I'd post this. So I'm not saying rewrite the content. What I'm saying is, when you post it directly within the app itself. So post it within the Twitter interface, post it within the Instagram interface, within the Facebook interface, for example. This way, just to make sure that the image is there. So if you want to post to Facebook, for example, use your Instagram app and select Facebook. The post would be nice and big on Facebook. So it's a nice big post because Facebook and Instagram are the same company in a sense. So it would show that on Twitter, go through the web interface and go ahead and add that. So this is just something that you're still posting the similar content to the different channels. It just looks better per channel. Yes?
How do you get organic followers that turn into customers? Or is it worth paying for the fake followers and that will get you the business?
All right. So we have 3 questions here. The first question is it worth buying followers? The second is, how do we get, if we don't want to buy followers, how do we get a bigger number of followers? And the third is, how do we get these followers to actually engage in the business and do this? So it's a 3-part question. So the first part about buying followers, okay, just let's tackle the concept of followers. Still until today, we have a lot of the people I work with and the clients we deal with, the number of followers is always the obsession. So always that's the first thing we tackle. We get that out of the way because whatever we do for their business, yes, but I have 1,000 less than my competitor. Whatever we do for them, they don't care. So we have teams dedicated for them. We sell their inventory. We get people to come to their event. Still, there's a number of followers here and there. Now, buying followers is an easy way out, and as everything else. There's no point. You can buy followers for 200 dirhams, 300 dirhams. You get a nice jump in followers on Instagram, or you can even you can buy people to like your photos as well, and so on. But for those of you who tried to go on a diet, and I cheated. I had a donut before coming here, so it's difficult. So you can take a pill and just pills and they would help us with our diets and so on. But then these followers they're fake. They don't do anything. They're just a number. So they don't see the posts, they don't like the posts, they would never come to your event or buy anything. So these are virtual accounts. They're a big business, a lot of people do them, but buying this is you just having a number which doesn't do anything. So they don't interact, they don't do anything with you. This is 1. 2, what Facebook and Instagram and Twitter are doing is they're trying to identify these fake accounts and they're closing them down. So we've had cases with clients, they call us up and saying, we dropped 5,000 followers overnight, what happened, what did you guys do, and so on. Then we look into it a bit further, and then when we dig into it a bit more, before they engaged us 6 months ago, they bought 5,000 followers. Facebook found them with time, and they closed them down. So those that you buy today, the pounds we lose today by cheating, we will gain them very soon after that. So buying followers is not generally a practice that would help. So this is one aspect. The second part of organic followers, that's it's difficult. It requires experimentation, a lot of work, and I see nodding in the back. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to get followers. So it's not a matter of months. It's a matter of it's a matter of weeks. It's a matter of months. So it's a long-term process. This is 1. 2, your content plays a role. So for example, in my case, I have around 8,000 followers on Twitter. Let's say, if I spoke politics, my number of followers would grow. If I created problems on the internet, a lot of people, they go into negative topics and issues with brands and so on, I'd gain more followers. But I'm not doing that. If I spoke more about entertainment elements, so participating in popular cultural discussion and things that are happening on TV and so on, I'd gain more followers. So for me, for example, generally my obsession is not the amount of followers, it's about, so you could do these things. So you could talk about problematic things. You could talk about popular culture elements. So as a business, problematic might not be the solution, but talking about popular content elements. So UAE Innovation Week, that's a popular topic now. Try to participate in that discussion. Use those hashtags. So you have, like, say, three or four hashtags here. Look into those. See which ones are of interest. Use those hashtags. So that would help. Another thing is, if you retweet or repost or like other people's photos or images and so on, they'd look into the account. It happens to you personally if you see who's that account who liked my photo or retweeted. We check each and every one. So they might, if they take a look at your account, so they might like what they see. So if they're interested, so for me, they look at it. If it's very social media and they don't care, they move on. If it's nice pictures about something else of interest to them, they follow. It depends on what it is. So what I share is mostly anything you want to do about web, mobile, social media, some Star Wars now that the movie's coming out, but it's a lot about these are the very specific topics. So if you're looking at food or nightlife, I'm not the right person for that. So it depends. It depends on the niche that you have. The third is converting them, these followers, to the business. It's a bit tricky here in terms of you need to look into in the beginning what is it that you're selling.
I have a sugar art cake decorating business.
What's a sugar art cake? What's that?
My business.
I was talking about diets for the last 15 minutes. Tell me about your.
It's basically working with fondant and sugar and to produce cakes and cake decorating and things like that.
And we're looking at very nice pictures, very nice images, very juicy.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be an issue for you to get followers. Generally, people looking at that, it's good stuff. It's things that we try not to have, but we have a lot of. And especially if it's art, you have an art element, so it's visually very pleasing. Do you have an Instagram page already?
I do.
Sure, let's go and promote it. What's your page?
The pictures aren't professional because I'm sort of just doing them.
It's fine. What's the account?
Kate Khalifa.
C-A.
K-E.
Uh-huh.
And then Khalifa.
K-H?
Yeah.
L-F-A.
I-F-A.
All right. And we also have Brahim. What's your YouTube? It's youtube.com/
I don't have YouTube.
Okay.
Arab 15S.
It's on
Arab 15S.
/Arab 15S?
Yes.
All right. So these are the two ones that we're looking at. So Kik Khalifa. Vegan with sugar cakes?
Sorry?
Vegan with vegan options? You mentioned vegan options with sugar
There are
cakes?
vegan, there's different types.
All right, so if you want to get some juicy foods, we're going to Kik Khalifa. All right. Yeah, here. It shouldn't be an issue for you. It looks nice. What camera are you using?
Sorry?
What camera are you using?
Camera.
Yeah.
It's my smartphone.
Okay, is it an iPhone 6S?
It's a Samsung.
6? Samsung, okay.
The content is fine and it's great.
The content looks good. I would also include people who are enjoying your stuff.
Yeah, I've got a few out there. A couple of videos and
Yeah.
a few other things. Sometimes people don't want to have their children up on Facebook or social media.
For whoever wants, or they can get a discount. So I'm sure they'd be more inclined to.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good idea. Yeah.
So, for example, this is nice. This is good. Having an Instagram post about WhatsApp conversation that you had and so on. I would tag the people who are in the images or the families are in the images,
Okay.
and also I need to look at your use of hashtags. But there are many hashtags. If you look at the presentation, it's with the organizers. I've included some. A lot of them are food based, and they were able to move to actually physical stores. So I would look into what hashtags they're using, what type of things that they're posting. So that might be of interest to you, as well. Ibrahim, you mentioned here the Arab 15S. So these are curated video content. Is that it? They're all in Arabic.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is content that you're curating, preparing for other people's.
Yes.
All right. All right. Does anyone else want us to show their pages? We're good. Yes. What's your page? What is it?
It's
Instagram or YouTube or what?
yeah, Instagram / NOVI
LOBI?
N for November, O for Oscar, V for Victor, I for India. V. And then plus PLUS.
What does Novi Plus do?
Novi Plus is a health and fitness lifestyle membership.
Ooh.
From the cakes to that.
All right. Welcome, Guilt. Oh, that's you. Okay. So what does Novi Plus do?
So it's a lifestyle membership that makes healthy living more affordable. So we're a healthy network of health, fitness, and wellness brands.
Okay.
And users such as yourself can buy our membership and access all these brands more affordably to help.
Do they send them to me or do I have to go to them?
Sorry?
Do they send them to me or do I have to go to them? The brands, the food or the brands.
They're not food plans or anything. So we partner with places like Nike, Models, Just
Okay.
Solid, Pulp Juices.
Okay.
You sign up to Novi Plus and then you get access to all of these places at a more affordable rate. So every time you go and present your membership,
Okay.
you get exclusive savings. So
Okay.
helping people in their lifestyle.
All right. All right.
Oh, no, happy. Thank you.
All right. What other questions do we have? I think we're close to running out of time. Yes.
Yes, this is regarding the Instagram ad.
It could be Instagram, non-Instagram. Okay. If you have other questions about social media related and
So the sponsored ads that come, how is the placement selected? As in
the Instagram ad
Yes, the Instagram ad.
placement. You mean?
So when I open my Instagram
Mhm.
account, I can see different kinds of sponsored ads that
Yeah.
come up. So how is that
Sure.
decided?
Sure.
And added to that also is there like if someone tags me in a photo,
Mhm.
I get to see it, but do my followers or do my contacts get to see it? Not necessarily, right?
No.
So what does tagging people do?
Okay. So it's two-part questions. Okay. The first part is about selection of why you're seeing certain ads, not others. So this has to do with two things. The first part is the targeting. So as we started in the beginning, the advertiser, you as an advertiser, can target based on age, gender, interests, location, marital status, expat status, and so on. So there's a set of specific targeting that you would choose, that an advertiser would choose to target you. So when you see that ad, that means they've selected a certain set of criteria to target you. All right. So that's the first thing. The second thing, what Instagram does is they spoke about it a lot when they started a few months ago. Started with their ads is they try to make a balance about the number of ads that you would see. So they have a certain ratio internally of 1:6 or 1:8 or whatever it might be, saying that you have to see 5, 6, 7, 8 posts of your friends and of the brands you follow, and then an ad, and then X number of posts that you would see from your brand, and then an ad. So there's a balance between what you would see organically from your people that you follow, and then how many ads you see. So there's a balance between that, so that Instagram stays, so that it just doesn't turn into like a paid, open it up and it's just ads. Okay, so that's the first part of your question. The second part is about tagging. What's the point of tagging? It's a way to grow more followers. So what people do is they tag others to get people to see it. So, take it on a personal level. If people like or comment or tag or mention you, you go in and check as who mentioned me and why. So what they would do is they would go in and check, one of the, if it's a sugar-based account, they check in and they're nice images and so on. I'm going to go in and, if I'm interested in this, I'm going to follow that, or health or whatever. So it depends on what you're into. So the tag is a way to increase discoverability a bit more.
But then I have to identify people to tag, right? Like
Yes.
I want your followers or you to check my page, or I have to tag you.
Yeah,
and then-
yeah. What you do is, for example, you check UAE Innovates. You get to see, it's like, okay, this guy's talking about Instagram and so on. You get to see, this type of profile is of interest to me, and you tag me, and then I'd look into it, saying, okay, who's that person who tagged me and why, and what is it she sells. Yes.
Like earlier when we were asking, we were saying like not to go and have different accounts and stuff. But so I'll say for instance, I'm a startup, so I go to a lot of these events and there's like really great talks, and because some of my followers are my fellow other entrepreneurs and startups and everything, so I go and tweak in terms of those lines. But my business is related to like online commerce. Then do you think that would affect my business? by going the same, because I do different in terms of Twitter and I do different in terms of Instagram.
So you have two accounts that you manage, the online commerce and the...
No, it's me as a person.
It's you as a person?
It's me as a person, but then obviously I'm using my company's, because that's the one that's always there on my phone and everything, right? So I'm using my company Twitter, but then I talk more in terms of my startup and stuff.
As a personal account?
No, I like as...
On the work account as well?
Work, this thing,
Yes.
Because it's a startup over here, and, and I've got more questions
Okay.
of late, and like, you know, it does go and help me to a certain degree. And then Instagram is purely based on my business, the pictures related to fashion. And
But it's the same account?
It's the same name, so under C Love 5.
So if I look at the Instagram account, it's fashion, and if I look at the Twitter account, it's online commerce and...
It's talking about like as a startup.
Okay,
You know what I
okay,
mean?
okay. So what's the
It's a
question?
startup and this thing. So will that affect, like, should I not be doing that, or should, you know,
What do you do on a
it
person?
has benefits.
What do you do on a personal account level? On your personal, do you have a personal account that
I
you
do have
manage?
a personal
But you're not
account
active on it?
which I've like completely switched over to.
Because my feeling is the startup information is more you more than the online commerce, and that's fashion related. The online commerce is fashion related, completely fashion related.
Yeah, it is fashion related.
Because my feeling the startup part is you more than anything else. So you might want to have the startup stuff on your own personal account. Okay, unless you feel the brand can handle both, that's fine.
No, it's just that I have got like feedback. Like, so when I do put in the company account, so I have got like interest and stuff. But I'm just wondering, in long term, how much damage is that doing to my brand? You know what I mean?
Have the entrepreneurship and small business folks, have they bought some of your stuff?
I've got more followers and stuff, and I've got.
But
questions
have they bought your things? Because they're not. It's a different audience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They've shared it. They've retweeted it. They've got. So I've got other type of likes more related to.
you might want to have the startup things on your personal account and grow that, and then on your personal account you can share whatever you want: the online commerce, the startups, and so on. So this way you can have the different answers, especially if you're talking about questions and answers and so on. There was a question here. Yes.
Is there a way to check the Instagram insights, like the demographic of people that?
بعد شوي. Yeah. Yes. The question about Instagram Insights. Today, not a lot. There are some tools to use, but not a lot. That's coming. But today, natively within Instagram, there's no Instagram.com/insights like you have on Facebook. Not yet. So there are third-party tools that you can use in order to see insights and so on, but not a lot. No, it's not built in yet.
In some geolocations, usually people just keep their GPS of the mobile off. Still, the advertisers can target us via the GPS location. If not, basically, I think there's a new concept of coming IP advertising. Basically, they particularly target the particular IP locations of a segment of villa or let's say of
Yes.
certain IP segment. Based on that, they put advertisements.
Yes.
So
What's the question?
If I switch off my GPS location, can the advertiser still target me based on the geolocation of my place?
Okay.
Or else maybe they are targeting via my IP address.
All right. So the question is about geolocation, about how people can find and target you. Before we had smartphones and GPS on smartphones, we used to be targeted by location by IP address. So IP address is basically when you subscribe on the internet from a certain company, or Etisalat, depending on where you are. There's a certain address that gives you the internet. That address they can use to target you physically. So even before GPS, IP address location is there, but it's less accurate in a sense where GPS is more accurate. It tells you that I'm physically here within, the N5 location versus I'm in the Knowledge Village area or so on. So yes, IP addresses will definitely continue to play a role with the advertisements, and but it's a wider geography. So they know that you're in this area, but not within a certain level of accuracy. Even if your GPS is off, they can still find you within a certain physical location in a sense. So within a certain area. Okay. Well, what other questions do we have? All right. If you have any information, you can go ahead and add me, Ayman Aitani, AYMANITANI, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Facebook, whatever, LinkedIn, whatever your poison is, it's something for you to add. I'm going to spend some time a bit after the session here, so I can answer questions that you have. All right?
All right, yeah, thank you so much,
Sure.
Ayman. That was a great, very interesting session.